America.
This is News Point at 11.
Good evening, I'm Tanae Howard, and right now on News Point at 11, a string of costly car vandalism plague one Indiana community. We'll tell you what authorities and the community members say makes this act particularly malicious tonight. Plus, authorities are reporting an alarming rise in fatal fires across Indiana, what they're hoping new funding could do to help curb those numbers and keep Hoosiers safe. And a big deadline is just days away for some health insurance holders. What you need to know this week about the Affordable Care Act and how to sign up to make sure you're covered this year. But first tonight, the search is on for whoever is hitting those who are already down on their luck. Martinsville police say someone slashed the tires of more than a dozen cars. Fox 59's Haley Bull is learning more.
It hurts during a time that's supposed to be filled with holiday cheer. Someone is making the holidays tougher for those already in need.
Flat tire. New tire put on a week and a half ago from vandalism.
Police say Tuesday morning they discovered vehicles with the tires slashed.
You just kind of wonder what kind of person would just walk around and do that. So it just makes you kind of upset.
The ones in this parking lot, outside residences for low-income seniors and families experiencing homelessness trying to get back on their feet.
I'm tired of it. You know, we all live on Social Security here, and we cannot afford to buy tires every week.
There are multiple vehicles like this one impacted in this parking lot, but the problem extends beyond here. Police say they know of at least 13 reports.
Mostly just where it looked like somebody just walked by and just hit it with a knife.
A couple blocks away from the lot.
Why would somebody do this?
More residents waking up to slits in their tires too.
I just spent a lot of money on Christmas and now I have to spend $170 for a new tire. It's not right.
So now police are looking for any surveillance images or tips to find out who's behind this wrong. But in the meantime, families are left patching their tires, figuring out what to do next.
It's just part of, you know, all of us here, we don't have money, so why do they want to hit in our parking lot?
In Martinsville, Haley Bull, Fox 59 News.
Wellsprings executive director says the timing of the act was especially malicious this holiday season. If you have any information, please call the Martinsville police. Two teenagers are facing murder charges after authorities say a man was shot and killed during a botched robbery at a Cumberland business. 37-year-old Gregory Rayleigh was killed. His fiancee, Andrea Manning, said she was inside the Dollar General around 9 o'clock last night. She said Rayleigh was waiting in the car with her daughter, but at some point he came to the door.
I ducked down behind some stuff. I was trying to contact him to let him know, please don't come in. Like, please don't come in. He's a hero. He died protecting me and Jewel.
A 14-year-old and 18-year-old have been arrested. The Marion County prosecutor will decide whether to charge the 14-year-old as a juvenile or an adult. Their names have not been released. A woman is in critical condition tonight after her home catches fire. It happened just after 4 o'clock this morning at a home on Mansfield Street on the near northwest side. IFD says the fire started in the basement and that ice, freezing temperatures, and excessive clutter made it difficult to put out. The damage is estimated at $35,000. The cause of that fire is still under investigation. State officials are hoping new federal funding will help bring down the number of fire-related deaths. The Indiana Department of Homeland Security says a large chunk of $1 million federal grant will help purchase 10,000 smoke detectors over the next 2 years. IDHS says fire deaths have gone up in the past few years. There's been 85 so far this year and more than 200 in the past 3 years. The state fire marshal says he hopes those detectors, along with an education and prevention campaign, will help put a dent in those numbers.
It's our responsibility to make sure the residents and the citizens of Indiana have a way to protect themselves in their homes.
IDHS says they're also working to create a heat map to help identify areas with high amounts of fire fatalities to help them target areas in need. Anyone who needs a smoke detector will be able to request one through their website. The U.S. Fire Administration says volunteer departments across the country are facing a recruiting crisis. 70% of firefighters are volunteers. Trafalgar Fire Rescue has 25 men on staff, with 6 consistently going uncaused. They say they don't think it's affected response times, but that it's hard to recruit without offering a paycheck. The Indiana Fire Chiefs Association is applying for a $1 million FEMA grant to help support recruiting and retention. A storefront collapses, falling into cars in Lawrence. Check this out. Yeah, that's a Dollar General sign right on top of a car. It happened at a strip mall on Pendleton Pike near Franklin Road. Employees inside said the building started to shake and it felt like an earthquake. Authorities say it's unclear what caused that awning to come down there. Fortunately, they did not believe anyone was hurt. The Indiana Secretary of State office is investigating computer issues that cause widespread problems on Election Day. Server slowdowns at Oklahoma-based election systems and software caused problems in Brown, Carroll, Elkhart, Hancock, Howard, and Monroe County. But Johnson County saw the most issues, where volunteers waited in line for hours. The Johnson County clerk called it the worst election she's ever dealt with. She hopes the state's investigation will bring some answers.
Public needs to be assured that this will not happen again and that we can move forward and get these lines moving on Election Day.
Johnson County is withholding a $53,000 payment to ES&S with a possible discount being worked out. ES&S says they fully cooperate with the investigation and they apologize to Indiana voters. If you get health care through the Affordable Care Act or the government marketplace, there's an important date you need to keep in mind. December 15th. That's when open enrollment closes in just 4 days. According to a new Kaiser Family Foundation poll, 61% of people have no idea the open enrollment period for these plans ends this weekend. Navigators say if people do know, it's still not widely accepted as the law of the land. Marketplace navigators like Shane Tackett says it's a much easier process these days, but you still have to make sure you're going to the right source.
I always like to make sure that people are going to healthcare.gov. Don't go to healthcare.com. Be careful if you get a phone call from someone who might say they're with Obamacare or Affordable Care Act.
If you signed up last year, you do have to re-enroll. If you need help, you can get connected to a local marketplace navigator by visiting healthcare.gov. Governor Eric Holcomb helped celebrate Indiana's 202 years of statehood today. Students from across Indiana learned about the state's beginnings at the State House. Winners of a 4th grade essay contest also shared their papers on Statehood Day. Only 63,000 people lived in Indiana when it became the 19th state to join the Union in 1816.
Well, we put together 8 consecutive days below normal, but this was the warmest afternoon in 8 days. Central Indiana seeing and feeling a big change in our weather. The sun was out and the southwest winds were blowing. Beautiful view right now, a live look in Carmel at Chris Kindle Market. Temperatures are running much warmer than where they were at early this morning. We've nearly doubled the temperature here in central Indiana since last night. And look how the skies were able to brighten up and lead to one of the sunniest days. In fact, it was today and last Friday were the sunniest days that we've had in central Indiana since Thanksgiving. This month has been marred with a lot of cloud cover, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and today have featured a lot of sun for many of you. Yes, it was quite cloudy in some areas yesterday afternoon, but our sunshine for the month has more than tripled since Friday to 37% possible sunshine. That's good. That's a nice improvement. At one point, we were at 13%, and it was very, very cloudy, one of the cloudier starts to a December on record. And right now, we've got high clouds moving into the area. This is preventing the temperatures from dropping, and add the southwest wind and an approaching warm front, we're still above freezing even at this hour. Last night at this time, folks out in Crawfordsville were at 10 degrees. We have a quiet radar. We've got clouds streaming into the area, but we also have a warm front approaching later tonight. We'll eventually see some patchy light drizzle form in some areas, especially north of Indianapolis, may be at or around the freezing mark. More on that in just a moment. Right now it's 38 degrees downtown, 36 in Plainfield, 37 in Greencastle, and look at Crawfordsville at the freezing mark. Lafayette at 27. With time, as the saturation begins towards 4 or 5 a.m., There may be some areas of patchy drizzle that become freezing drizzle up in north central Indiana late tonight. Now the temperatures this morning down in the teens, the afternoon temperatures jumping well into the 40s. Not only did we have a big improvement in the temperatures from 24 hours ago at the same time at 11 o'clock, we're at 34, we're 16 degrees warmer from the same time yesterday, 25 degrees warmer in Bloomington, feels pretty good. And since this morning in our afternoon high temperature, we had a spread of as much as 30 degrees. It will be milder out the door tomorrow morning, not nearly as cold with a temperature at or above freezing. There may be some patchy freezing drizzle up north, but a breezy day developing and a warmer one too. We're tracking a front and better rain chances as well in my forecast coming up.
All right, see you soon. Still to come, several are killed and more injured in a shooting near a French Christmas market. We'll have the latest as authorities search for a suspect there tonight. Plus,
people age beer all the time. Who knows? 100 years might be pushing it.
a 100-year-old home is serving up a round of history. We'll tell you what renovators uncovered in this Indiana home and its connection to the local brewing scene. And this firefighter is going the extra mile to help his community. How he's helping make sure Hoosier family in need rests easy this holiday season. Here tonight's news flash, at least 3 people are killed and 12 wounded in a shooting in eastern France. Officials say the shooting sparked a lockdown today in Strasbourg, plus major security around a world-famous Christmas market. They say the shooter is still at large. French prosecutors say a terrorism investigation has been opened, though authorities have not announced a motive. A jury has recommended life in prison for the man who killed a counter-protester at a white supremacist rally in Virginia last year. James Fields was convicted last week. Today recommended the maximum charge of life in prison and a $100,000 fine for the murder of Heather Heyer. A judge is set to decide Fields' punishment in March. Fields purposefully drove his car into a group of counter-protesters at that rally in Charlottesville. President Donald Trump threatened today to shut down the government in the name of border security. In the Oval Office, Trump demanded funding for the wall and said he'd be proud to shut down the government over the issue. He also referenced Pelosi's speakership not being assured. Pelosi later told colleagues that during a closed-door part of the meeting, Trump said that Mexico would be paying for the border wall through the new trade agreement between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. And 44 former U.S. senators, including Democrat Evan Bayh and Republican Richard Lugar from Indiana, signed an op-ed in the Washington Post about special counsel Robert Mueller's investigation. They write, they feel an obligation to speak up. The group urged current and future senators to protect democracy by protecting the investigation and for the Senate to ensure partisanship doesn't replace the interests of the country. Senator Joe Donnelly also calling for bipartisanship today in his Senate farewell address. His speech today marked the final time he'll give remarks in the Senate before his term expires.
You can be from Idaho. You can be from North Dakota. You can be from New Hampshire, Indiana. But we all have the same challenges. And all of us worked hard to get here. And our job should be not worrying about politics, but worrying about making lives better.
Republican challenger Mike Braun will take Donnelly's Senate seat in January. The FFA announced plans to keep its annual convention in the Circle City for the next 12 years. The convention and expo will remain in Indy through 2031. The national event draws nearly 70,000 people from across the country each year. The 2018 convention is estimated to have come with a $39.8 million impact to the Indy economy. And the Indianapolis airport continues to grow. Today, the airport authority announced Spirit Airlines will now be taking off from the Indy runway. Spirit will bring 3 nonstop routes to Indianapolis, which will allow for additional connecting flights to the Caribbean and Latin America. Spirit flights will go to Orlando and Las Vegas starting in March, with a nonstop seasonal flight to Myrtle Beach added in May.
To get to be the first one that has my hands on this in 100 years and kind of get to bring it back to the light of day.
New tonight, a piece of Indy history is discovered after being forgotten for 100 years. The pre-prohibition relic was found hidden in a century-old home. Fox 59's Mike Sullivan takes you through its past, present, and future.
If homes could talk, what would they say? What would they know?
Every once in a while, it seems like one of them will kind of start to like you.
Maybe open up.
It'll show you a little secret.
This one on Washington Street, speaking to Dylan Ratch.
This house must have really liked us.
He's working a remodel, overhauling the electrical of this 100-year-old home.
We pretty much have to get into about every nook and cranny of the place.
Uncovering forgotten good luck charms.
Yep, shoes on the wall.
Old medicine bottles, 90-proof alcohol, and morphine.
So it'd pretty well knock your socks off, whatever was wrong with you.
However, the real secret lies in a crawl space in the basement.
I didn't think it would be anything near as cool as what it turned out being.
A century-old bottle, its label reading Home Brewing Company. The paper spared from sun and rain.
Yeah, water's death to paper.
As is prohibition to the Home Brewing Company, the Indy staple folding nearly a century ago.
What's neat now is that there's this other brewery more recently that's in the same building.
I've been here about 8 months.
Indiana City Brewing, 5.5.
Just seemed like a really natural progression for the brewery to end up here.
On the wall, you'll find a quote. Once again, it will be a personal liberty.
Again, a citizen's right to drink what you want when you want to.
Home Brewing Company's defiant message to their customers.
Early 1900s, when Prohibition happened, the Home Brewing Company tried to start making near beer to make it through, but unfortunately there just wasn't a demand for it, and then they had to close their doors.
Their bottling location is still intact, brewing building now gone.
This was the tunnel where the beer would be piped over for conditioning and bottling.
Where this one was made.
Maybe it just used me to try to get back home. That's what it was all about.
In Indianapolis, I'm Mike Sullivan, Fox 59 News.
The home's new owners are planning to give the bottle to Indiana City Brewing Company. So far, the company has a few home brewing bottles in their collection, but none of the bottles we saw have a paper label. One firefighter and his wife are finding another way to give back in a very special way, thanks to a Christmas angel. Rob McClare and his wife Tony were paired up with Angel Bendham through IFD's Fill the Bell program. When they moved to Indy this year, Angel's family was living out of their car. They got a new apartment just a few weeks ago, but they still had a roof over their heads. The McClares learned the family was sleeping on the floor, so they tracked down some mattresses and delivered them today.
We should all try to do our part when somebody is, down on their luck or down, needing some help. There's always something that we can do.
The McClares raised almost $3,000 for Angel's family. Long's Furniture World and Franklin donated the beds.
With the exception of a little patchy drizzle and maybe some spotty freezing drizzle early tomorrow morning, we're going to put wintry weather on hold for a while. We definitely have a warm front passing the area late tonight, early tomorrow morning. Clouds do thicken up. The temperatures in Indianapolis will stay at or above freezing all night long. Should there be any kind of wintry freezing drizzle around, maybe north central Indiana between 5 and 7 a.m. But the sun will break free tomorrow and the temperatures will warm up. Could even see a couple of spotty showers tomorrow evening. Temperatures reach 46 in the interim. We'll get some sun to come out and then draw temperatures back into the upper 20s by Thursday morning. We'll draw more clouds into the area by Thursday night and rain chances come along with it. Best chances for showers will be on Friday, but look at the stretch of milder than normal temperatures. We're likely to exceed the 40-degree mark well into the middle of next week. A much milder weather pattern in the works, and it looks like it's going to hold for some time.
All right, thanks, Brian. Now to tomorrow's headlines and talking points. Family members are holding a candlelight vigil for a woman killed 6 years ago while walking her dog at White River State Park. No arrests have been made in the shooting death of Sharice Bingham, and organizers are asking anyone with information to please come forward. Attorney General Curtis Hill was teaming up with the Better Business Bureau and Federal Trade Commission to address scams victimizing Hoosiers. Hill's office lists subscription traps and free trial offers as a growing problem and has payment tips to help protect yourself against this fraud. Well, everyone has their preference when it comes to their favorite brew. So what's the point? A new poll says your choice says something about your personality. One poll found lager drinkers are more goal-oriented and sociable, but also more stressed. Easygoing ale drinkers prefer spending nights at home. Both, however, are set in their ways, not changing their favorite beer in the last 4 years. Which one are you?
My favorite beer is free beer.
My favorite beer is no beer.
If it's free, it's for me. That's true about a lot of stuff. Hey, Victor Oladipo talking to the media tonight and practicing as well. We have a timeline for his return. That's next in sports. Plus, what head coach Frank Reich expects from you, the Colts fans, this Sunday against the Cowboys. The Pacers extended their win streak to a season-high 4 games last night, and They won them all without Victor Oladipo. In fact, the All-Star guard has missed the last 11 games with a lingering knee injury. But today at practice, Vic was back in the mix for the first time in nearly a month. Now, Indiana has won 7 of these 11 without Oladipo, but they certainly need him back as the schedule is about to get a lot tougher starting tomorrow night against Milwaukee. The good news is Vic's return appears to be sooner rather than later.
You know, I did a little bit more than I usually do, I guess you could say, but I feel really good. The only thing now is just getting my wind up, getting my wind back, and getting in game shape. And obviously, when I come back, they'll probably have me on a minute restriction and stuff like that. But you know, I just want to be out there helping my team. So we'll see how everything works out.
He went through a practice today, 5-on-5 scrimmage for about 25, 30 minutes. Got up and down, and we'll see how he feels tomorrow.
In football, the Colts making a notable roster move today, waiving Eric Swope. The tight end had scored 3 touchdowns this season. The team with the day off before hitting the practice field tomorrow. A big one this Sunday against Dallas. In addition to the streaking Cowboys, the Colts will also have to deal with a lot of their fans.
I'm really confident in our fans that they're going to come through in a big way. There will be a lot of people there. I heard the numbers. You know, there's going to be 15,000 Cowboy fans there or something like that. Good for them. They bought their tickets. That they can be in there. But I think our fans will win that battle.
Both teams making a huge playoff push. Dallas has won 5 straight. The Colts 6 of their last 7. Something's got to give. Find out Sunday right here on Fox 59. Kickoff set for 1 o'clock. Brian, I'm thinking roof closed.
Why? It's going to be 45 and some sun.
It's still my turn.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Indianapolis Animal Care Services is kicking off 12 Days of Strays in the hopes of finding forever homes for some of the shelter's longest residents. Adoption fees will be waived each day for featured pets on IACS social media pages. The project starts tomorrow and runs through December 23rd. All other adoptions are only $5 this month. Through IACS, they are home for the Holidays.
That's right.
Campaign.
I
Got it?
Got it, yeah.
Holidays.
Yes. You blend right into this couch.
I did. It's just invisible. Like, it's one whole thing.
Tell you what, we're going to get a little milder stretch here for the rest of the 7 days.
January, February, March, December. Can't wait to get to Tampa, huh?
It's in the 6 p.m. program. It will be. I know.
Look at Monica, she's dead inside.
All right, we're going to go. F8, F9, F10, F11. 8, 9, 10, 11. In the old days, I'd have been gone for 2 minutes already. All right, 3, 2. The Pacers riding a season-best 4-game winning streak into tonight's game against Milwaukee, and they've done it all without Victor Oladipo. In fact, the All-Stars missed 11 straight games with a nagging knee injury, but the good news is yesterday Vic was back on the practice court for the first time in almost a month. Now, they want their All-Star back despite the recent success as the schedule gets tougher, and the good news is it appears to be coming sooner rather than later.
You know, I did a little bit more than I usually do, I guess you could say, but I feel really good. The only thing now is just getting my wind up, getting my wind back, and getting in game shape. And obviously, when I come back, they'll probably have me on a minute restriction and stuff like that. But you know, I just want to be out there helping my team.